Okay, today we are going to talk about writing exponents as radicals and radicals as exponents. You might want to take out a piece of paper if you chose not to print out these notes. So I'm going to show you how to rewrite radical x as x to the 1/2 because those mean the same thing. To rewrite a radical as an exponent, I need you to think roots go on the bottom. So here, when we're talking about roots, you're going to think of like plants and trees. If you're planting something, the roots go on the bottom. You're going to write out the term under the radical. If there's an exponent under the radical, it goes on the top of the fraction, and the root of the radical goes on the bottom. You need to read the questions carefully because parentheses lock things together. So a couple of quick examples. If you wanted to rewrite the square root of x, there's really a little 2 in that check mark, so that becomes x to the 1/2 because there's really an exponent of 1 on the x that we don't write. If you want to rewrite the cubed root of x, again, there's a 1 as an exponent, so the root, the cube root, the root goes on the bottom. The 4th root of x becomes x to the 1/4. The 5th root of x becomes x to the 1/5. If we look at the second column, again, if there's nothing written in the check mark, there's really a 2. So this becomes x to the 3/2. The second one becomes x to the 10/3. The third one becomes x to the 5/4. And the last one becomes x to the 13/5. Notice all of the roots are in the bottom of the fractional exponent. So sometimes you might see a question that says rewrite in exponential form. This means we need an exponent. So if I look at the first example, there's nothing written in the root. If there's nothing written, there's really a 2. On the 48, there is no exponent. If nothing is written, there's really a 1. So to rewrite this, it becomes 48 to the 1/2 power. If I look at the second one, first thing I notice, this is kind of like 2 different terms. So we're going to rewrite the 4. There's an exponent of 1 on the x. The root is 3. So that becomes x to the 1/3. Again, that 3 is the root. The roots go on the bottom. A couple more examples. If I look at this first one, the root is 4. That means it goes on the bottom. Since there are 2 terms under the radical, I'm going to rewrite that. I'm going to lock them together, and I'm going to put them to the 1/4 power. Sometimes if it's multiple choice, the question might distribute the 1/4 in to both of these terms. So that's going to make this 3. 1/4 times 1 is 1/4. And 3 times 1/4 is x to the 3/4. So I would take either the red or the blue answer. If it's multiple choice, it could be written either way. If we look at the second example, the 3 is on the outside, so we're going to rewrite the 3. The root, there's nothing written, so if nothing is written, it's really a 2. So in the same as the one previously, we're going to put the 8a to the 3rd in parentheses, and that is all to the 1/2 power. If I wanted to get rid of my parentheses, this 1/2 goes to the 3, and it goes to the 8. So this becomes 3 times 8 to the 1/2. Multiply your exponents, a to the 3/2. And that's it. If I look at the third example on this page, again, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite that -2 because that's not under the radical, so it stays where it is. The 4 is my root, so I'm going to rewrite this in parentheses because all 3 of these terms are under the radical, and it goes to the 1/4 power. And if I want to get rid of my parentheses, this 1/4 has to go here to the 1, here to the 3, and here to the 6. So it becomes -2 times 300. 1 times 1/4 is 1/4. 3 times 1/4 is 3/4, and 6 times 1/4 is 6/4. Now, sometimes you have to go the other way. So it's very important that you read carefully. If I look at the first example, this says 7 times x to the 1/2. This 1/2 exponent only goes with the x. So the root is a 2. The exponent on the x is a 1. Because you're smart in math, we know we don't really need this 2 and we don't really need that 1. So if it's multiple choice, it would be written like this. I will take the blue answer. When you get to higher level math classes, they're not going to write it as the blue. They're going to expect you to write it like this. If I look at the second one, the 1/3 goes to the 8 and the x because they're locked together with parentheses. The 3 is the root. So I put that inside my check mark, my cube root symbol. The 1 is the exponent, so it goes with the 8 and the x. To look a little bit nicer, we're just going to call this the cube root of 8x. Notice the cube root is inside the check mark, in here. Don't write it in front of the check. And if I look at the third example here, kids, again, if you're rushing, you're going to make a mistake. This 3/4 only goes with the b. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite my 12a. If I look at this, the root, the bottom number is a 4, so it goes there. And the exponent, the top number, is a 3. That is your answer. And the last thing you could be asked to do simply with a radical is to evaluate it. So we're going to distribute the exponent outside the parentheses if necessary. You're going to type the number in the calculator and rewrite the letter. So I'll just show you if you see something that's like this, that's multiple choice. If we look at the first one, we have a set of parentheses here. This 1/2 goes to the 4, and that 4, there's really a 1 there. So this is 4 to the 1/2 power. And then if I multiply 4 times 1/2, that becomes 2. In the calculator, you can type in 4 caret 1 divided by 2. X squared. Don't type in the x squared. So 4 to the 1/2 power in your calculator should give you 2, and this becomes x squared. This just follows down here. That is your answer. This becomes the 2. If I look at the second example here, the exponent of the 3 is going to go on this, the 6, the 1 here, the 6 here, and the 2/3 here. So 1 times the 3 on the outside is 125 to the 3rd power. 6 times 3 is 18, so that's x to the 18. And 2/3 times 3 in your calculator, you can do 2 divided by 3 times 3, and that should give you 2, so it's y squared. This part here you can type in the calculator, and if you do 125, and then a caret, and then a 3, you're going to get 1953125, and rewrite your x to the 18th y squared. Please make sure you write down any questions and either email me or next time you see me. Ask me next time you see me.